Who are we talking to? Okay, so we're talking to Chicken. He does a lot of the Dreamgrove GG uh, theory crafting for Balanced Druid. And so we're going to be talking about basically just like the things we like and the things we don't like with the Druid tree. Yeah, we're going to be using the Wowhead calculator because the basically because like I don't have all of the points on the alpha yet, but I think that after playing around with Moonkin for a day, I think I have generally a pretty good idea of the things that I like and the things that I don't like. Obviously, it's difficult to know 100%, but I think it's pretty easy to tell some of the stuff that you like and you don't like and things that may need to be changed. I think that the thing that's important to know is not everything is like overtly negative.
Oh yeah.
It's never going to be like clear cut, right? Like and for the record, it's not that bad. Like at the end of the day, it's really not that bad. But there are some things that I would really like to be changed.
They can change this very fast.
Yeah,
they can make it into an insane tree insanely fast.
Yeah,
you just have to go in the right direction with it.
Okay,
because so they will change it more for sure.
Starting off with the class tree, I would say that like before anything, like I'm a pretty big fan of the class tree. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, the class tree is a complete banger. I love the class tree. It's if they don't nerf it even more. Okay, the thing is, they nerfed Earth Sign Vigor. I just sort of started this. They nerfed Earth Sign Vigor. That thing has to get buffed. Like that thing is so bad.
So yeah, they nerfed it from how was it 20% per point?
It was 1530. Now
it's 1530. Okay, yeah.
But they did put an arrow from the Barkskin node above it to it. It used to only be from Roar.
Oh, okay. So I mean that's a
problem with that is problem with that is you always pick Roar. Like there's no way you do not pick Roar there. So you're always gonna have that. So the line is pretty irrelevant.
Okay, so I have a question. Is improved Barkskin and improved Frenzy Region always mandatory? I think the answer is yes, because okay, not mandatory, but they're like free points, right?
Well, they're not free points. They're like tier 2 points most of the time. Okay, start with the base one. So like let's just clear everything.
Okay.
What you wanna go for is you start with balance. And you go like Moonkin form, you take the 3 nodes.
Yeah, this thing is mandatory, by the way. So
yeah,
Nurturing Instinct, I think Sunfire.
Yeah, Sunfire
probably Astral Influence, and then like Kara's Teachings. These are all those are all mandatory nodes.
I don't think Astral Influence is mandatory. Like there will be a lot of fights.
I don't think Astral Influence is mandatory. Okay.
Yeah, like think of the fights. Like what fights do you need it on? You need it on Jailer. You maybe want it on Halondros. And then what?
You know, all of the fights? Okay, I don't need it, but okay. Sure.
It's not useful at all. You don't like max range it.
Okay. Realistically, you're going to be playing it most of the time because it's... Okay, I see how you say it's not mandatory. I can't imagine taking Astral Influence because you have to get to Sunfire somehow.
Well, yeah, through the restaurant.
Yeah, but you have to go through the resto node to get there. At that point, you're taking Remove Corruption, which I'd rather have Astral Influence at that point, right?
See, what you're thinking now is that the resto nodes are 5 nodes, right? Because you go 1 to 3 nodes and then 2 nodes in there. But actually what you have to go through is 3 nodes. Because then you can spec 2 points off of Influence.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly.
And then you get a lot of defensive value from the increased healing and healing taken.
Okay, but anyways, I think more often than not, okay, maybe it's not mandatory. It is. If you're not specking it for a fight, that's more notable than anything else, I would say.
Yeah, it's definitely a tech option, which is very good.
Beyond that, like we get a lot of really good stuff for free. It's kind of weird that Soothe is in the spot that it is, where it's basically mandatory to take just because it's underneath Wild Charge, and then like a lot of our good utility / defensive abilities are gated behind it. So I would say that Soothe is in a weird spot, but beyond that, most of this stuff is actually in a pretty decent location. A lot of the options for this tree, you're either speccing a large amount of utility, a large amount of defensive, and more often than not, you're actually able to even spec both. And then like you have to factor in, do you want defensive, healing, or utility? And so those are the things that you're kind of making decisions on. This Skull Bash talent probably not reachable.
No.
I think
it is reachable in some situations, but you have to spend a lot of it.
Yeah, like it being
you will never.
Yeah, it's just gated behind this 3-point node, which is tough.
Yeah, you will never spec that 3-point node unless there is a Sludge Fist, but you would rather go through Thick Hides instead of that.
Yeah, this we'll do a tree with this in a second. Yeah,
flat DR is just way better than armor.
Yeah. So you would never even play. Okay, so there's no world where you even play Skull Bash in Mythic Plus even.
No, not really. No, you basically never go it because you have to go in cat form or bear form, and you spend a global for it, and then I think you have to finish the global, and then you can kick, and then you can go back into monkey form. Most of the time, kicks are also a bit reactive, so you want to be in the form a bit before. So you spend like another half global for it. So it's like 2.5 globals just for you to kick, and then you spend 4 nodes that you could get something else with.
So if I'm loading into a Mythic Plus and I had this talent tree for the class, would you say that this is good or bad? Because this is like, okay, so we have Typhoon. Obviously, like there are some things that we're missing, like Hibernate and Cyclone, but I think that Hibernate and Cyclone are situationally strong. They're not even like that mandatory. Yeah. But this is a lot of, I would say this is a lot of off healing and a lot of defensive value lacking.
I think
it's not lacking.
The Rejuvenate is pretty useless.
Okay. So then at that point, would you spend it on like Hibernate or Cyclone probably? I could even put 1 point in Ursine Vigor.
The problem with that is that all of the other nodes, well, you're in this situation where you most likely need Typhoon, right, for the plus build. You most likely want 1 minute. You most likely want Heart is most likely want Heart as well, right, for off healing. Plus killer dies, whatever happens. You
I would say it's useful in some situations, and it's nice to have.
If you do not want Heart and or Roar, you can spec out of those 2 nodes and either go left side towards either Feline Swiftness or Thick Hide.
So you would probably take off, even at that point, Wild Growth, Stampeding Roar, cooldown, Heart of the Wild, improved Rejuve. And so now I have, what, 4 points?
Yeah, and then you can go Trash Swipe.
Okay, so if I could get 1 more point from somewhere. Maybe one of these. Yeah. And so then that is a lot of defensive value, right? So then I have 6% passive DR. I lose the ability to be able to off heal the group. Is what? So the major loss here is like.
Yeah, it is obviously the Wild Growth and then the Hearts.
Yeah, so I mean it's a lot less off healing for the group, but it's 6% passive DR, which is pretty nice.
At that point, you could even take off the improved transit region and then Barkskin nodes, and then you could go into
well honed
Incap Roar.
Oh, Incap Roar. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Incap Roar is pretty good.
I really like this improved Barkskin node. So since it's now only 1 point, I think that like the duration of Barkskin going from 8 to 12 seconds is quite nice. But I don't know how I'd even get to here. Incap Roar is quite a strong ability, but I think you're starting to give up way too much group utility.
Yeah, I'm thinking that as well. I don't know. It would definitely be dungeon by dungeon basis to see which mobs require a hard stop.
Yeah.
And what comp you're playing. If you're playing with like a rogue, then I'm assuming you do not need that ever.
True.
But yeah, definitely. If you have like Warlock, whatever this comp is. What is this comp even?
H-Priest.
Survival Hunter.
Yeah, Survival Hunter.
H-Priest. This doesn't have like a lot of stops, right? So you would be able to go into Incap Roar and get some value through that. If you can get to Well Honed, that is your best defensive node. on the tree. So
Yeah.
like defensive nodes are like power-wise, the best one would be
Put Cyclone in, I guess, for
Thick Hide and Well-Honed Instincts.
just in
Not
terms of like.
counting just like how strong they are, just how much value they give you.
Okay.
Not counting per point basis. So like per point basis, it would be Renewal being the best node you can ever get.
Okay.
You almost never ever spec out of that. And then the second best one would be Improved Bark if you have Well-Honed. If you do not have Well-Honed, it would be the healing node.
Okay, this makes sense. Improved Frenzy Regen. I mean,
Yeah, just because it's just so cheap, right? It is
yeah,
also a tier 1 node, so you could get it
for
even
free.
without having to go into... Yeah, basically for free, without having to go into battlefield nodes and stuff.
I think that this feels pretty fair for like a Mythic Plus tree, because then it allows you to have Ursul's Vortex, it allows you to have Typhoon, and it allows you to have Cyclone. You don't really need Improved Rejuve, and then like you get Heart of the Wild healing in a pinch. If you really don't feel like you need, so if you don't need something and you probably like you want Hibernate or whatever, you can actually just talent out of this Stampeding Roar CD, or if you want maybe Ursine Vigor, you can even talent out of both Heart of the Wild and Stampeding Roar CD, because they're not exactly the most useful thing in Mythic Plus all the time, and you can talent into slightly more defensive value, but or like even get Hibernate. I think overall this feels pretty fair for like a Mythic Plus tree. For Raid, I would say it's almost like boss by boss specific, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. For Raid... Okay, so this tier, World First Guilds dropped one healer for Rest of Affinity, right?
That was
On
broken.
Raglan. Like Echo dropped one healer on Raglan, and then they had their boomies go and heal.
Yeah.
Now, is your even is your top 20 guild going to drop a healer and force your 2 to 3 Moonkins to do that?
No,
The
they
answer
won't.
is no. Not a singular guild has been dropping a healer and said, I will make my Moonkins go heal. Which means for a world first guild, you might want to go into Wild Growth and then Heart of the Wild. Now,
Sure.
Wild Growth per global is very strong. Do you need Heart? No. Because you also spend one global to go into Heart, right? And then if you press Heart, you are forcing yourself to press a second Wild Growth. Otherwise, Heart has like actually 0 value.
Okay, so how do you feel about this tree that I just made, which is basically okay? So you have some group utility with like Nature's Vigil, you have Innervate, right? You have Stampeding. I think that Raid particular, Stampeding Roar cooldown probably mandatory. It goes from a 2-minute CD to a 1-minute CD. This is broken.
Depends how many. Okay, so the Stamp Roar CD just depends on how many boomkins you have.
Okay, sure.
Like, yeah, how valuable the is. Now, next expansion, you're gonna get the raid bosses. So you're looking at a 1 class stack, kind of. Like most classes are just required now. Like everyone gets a raid buff. You want every class once at least. You want 1 copy of every class. Then you have 2 tanks, 4 healers.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe you get a Resto Druid that specs into that, and then you don't have to spend your globals instead of damage, and then you can do the 1-minute roar thing. If you do not have that and you're 1 boomkin, 1 druid, then you need it.
Yeah.
Almost every fight.
This makes sense. I think that the interesting part about like this tree in particular is like Well-Honed Instincts. Like being able to path into Ursox Endurance, Thick Hide, and Well-Honed Instincts, that brings you a lot of defensive value, just like personal defensive value. But at the meantime, you're not really able to tech into Typhoon or Cyclone or Dispel or anything like that if you really need it. So I think that like this tree is going to be, it's mostly a raid tree, but like you're kind of crunched on points if you're trying to path into Well-Honed Instincts, but it is for a per point basis very, very strong.
Yeah, it is. So there are a bunch more variations to this build. You could go a bit more defensive.
Yeah.
If you drop
more defensive.
If you don't need AoE on Sunfire, you can get 1 point there if it's a pure single target boss like Skoldex. And then you can get -1 point in Wellhound, because first Wellhound is way stronger than second Wellhound, right?
Okay.
Because it goes 120 seconds and then 90 seconds, which is way stronger in first than second. Then if you don't need second roar, you can skip that as well. And then you can spec down healing increase node
Okay.
and get 6% more from there. And then you drop 2 points in Astral Influence, and then you're like tankiest spec in game.
Okay. So it's
You have to drop the 2
if I
Astral
take a
Influences.
point. Hold on. If I take a point out of this. Then what?
You need to
1
drop
point out of
the
Stamp Roar or
influence.
something. How
Yeah.
do I get where in the
Astral
world?
Influence. Astral Influence.
What a fucking crazy knit tree that you just. Okay, I see. This you're not ever. I think that if you ever play this, I would be stunned.
Why not? Yeah, imagine Skolex, yeah.
Sure.
You would play this, your tankiest person.
Well, no, you want 1 minute roar here, but yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, it depends. Again, really depends on your raid comp and
yeah,
raid
sure.
fight. So there is another one with the same thing you made, and then you drop either with 2 points in Wellhound, and then you spec out of healing increase node, and then do the same thing you had before.
Is Nature's Vigil, you think, mandatory for basically all content?
Yeah, I think it's mandatory. So they nerfed it from 40% for 20 seconds to now it's 20% for 30 seconds, I think. So they nerfed it by like 25%.
Yeah. Those numbers are right.
Yeah, I made the math on it somewhat verified, but it is still somewhat accurate in the plus minus 20 to 30% zone. So that was like 3k HPS with 50% overhealing if you play it properly on like a jailer simulation kind of stuff, on like jailer fight. So your highest healing was Token of Appreciation if your people actually press raid boss to get heal from that, and that was 600 HPS. So you're comparing 3k from Nature's Vigil to 600, which is so crazy to me.
That is a lot of healing. Okay,
so, yeah, that is insane. Even if it's not like this, it's mandatory always.
Okay, so I think that this kind of, I think that summarizing the class tree, I would say it's really good. There's a lot of unique options that you can get with the utility out of the class tree. Basically, you're picking between like mob control utility, off healing, and tankiness, and you're picking basically 2 of the 3. It just kind of depends on what you need. I would say a general Mythic Plus tree, you're probably speccing more into. There's like, it's like half tankiness, half off healing, and then like decent group, like, and like some of the best group utility you can have. Ursul's Vortex Typhoon, very strong. Nature's Vigil, very strong. But then you do have some tankiness with like Renewal or Sun Vigor and stuff like that. Whereas for Raid, it's basically boss dependent. There are a lot of different builds that you can go for Raid depending on what you need to be doing for your guild, what you need to be doing for your group, how many druids you're running, that kind of thing. And so I don't think that it's super clear for Raid.
Oh yeah, right.
It's not Führer. Do you want to talk about this Führer talent?
I really want to talk about Führer. Okay, so let me take a sip of my copium juice.
No. Okay, hold on.
So,
I don't want to say copium juice.
Yeah, so here is how Führer is gonna work. They buffed it from 20 seconds to 15 seconds. Now this talent is special. So what you're gonna do is go spec into Führer and then start the fight in human form. Now you're gonna do your dot opener bullshit, and then you're gonna go incarnation and then proc Führer.
Okay.
And then you're gonna spam like 9 stars, which is
in 4 seconds.
Well, it's off global shift into Moonkin form, right? From Incarn.
It's not off global.
Incarn is off global. It's hard shift.
You're right, it is.
So you can spam like 3 to 4 star cities depending on how much haste you have.
Okay.
And then you have more astral power because you start nature's balance, right? And your AP ticks up.
Alright. So we're just gonna
And then you're
hope that
gonna
they...
be, yeah.
So if any Blizzard developers are listening, if they could fix that before it goes live, I would be a big fan. I don't really want to do that.
Also, here is here is the fun part. I did not talk about the fun part. So maybe if the damage is there,
Uh-huh.
you may be human form out in your lunar eclipse, and then fish for the Führer proc. And then
Oh,
after you proc your solar eclipse, you go into Boomkin form and then you press 3 sausages.
this guy said fish for the Führer proc, like you're waiting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright. Anyways, I think the odds of you being able to talent or wanting to talent straight into this thing is very, very low. I think that, first off, you're giving up a ton to get to here. Second off, unless it's cringe and you're doing really cringe stuff, it would if we started doing stuff like that, I suspect it would get nerfed.
Yeah, if that thing happens, please change it. I beg, please change it to like 20 or 25 seconds. I beg. I
Yeah.
do not want to do that, please.
Yeah. All right. The part that's going to get complicated. Now we got to talk about the spec tree. The class tree,
Yeah.
banger. The spec tree,
Banger. Yeah.
I would say it's got a lot of good nodes, a lot of potential, but then there's some stuff where I'm like, all right, there's it needs to be iterated on, but I would say not in a major way. Would you agree or disagree?
I would agree, but the biggest complaint that people have with this tree, I feel like, is still Starfall. Because in the way it currently functions, Stellar Drift is a thing, and then you have CD, and then you cannot spend your AP. Because how
Yeah.
this tree works is that you get a lot of AP and fun stuff in it, and then you cannot spend it, which is a big problem.
Yeah.
Because then your gameplay just falls off a cliff.
I mean, these right side nodes, this is a ton of astral power on the right side. You have Shooting Stars, you have Solstice, there's Syzygy / Pulsar here, which, I mean, it is what it is, and then there's Orbit Breaker. And so there is a ton of AP gained, and there's Warrior Balloon and shit, like, up at the top, but, like, you can talent into that regardless.
Should we just say that AP in AoE is fixed?
The AoE needs to get fixed.
Should we just pretend it is fixed?
Should we pretend it's fixed?
Yes.
Is it gonna get fixed?
I don't know. I don't work at Blizzard, but
okay. So for those who don't know, the basic problem with Moonkin AoE isn't necessarily it's kind of Stellar Drift, but it's not necessarily Stellar Drift. It's the fact that you can't have multiple Starfalls out at once, and so on AoE, it's very difficult for you to spend your astral power on anything. And then more patches than not, we end up just capping astral power on AoE because you'd rather spam Starfire than use Star Surge on like 6 targets, and that feels really weird to just be capped at 100% astral power because you can't press more than 1 Starfall at a time. And so I think that needs to be fixed. That's what I suspect you're talking about with our AoE is fixed.
Yeah. So any way to spend more astral power, like stacked Starfalls, another spender on AoE. There is a lot of feedback on that. Anything works. Absolutely, I would take anything at this point.
So I think that is the biggest thing that needs to be fixed about Moonkin. It's not even related to the talent tree. It's just like, okay, just fix that first, then everything else kind of work with. Okay, so let's start with like these top nodes. I think that we can just work top down here. So
top down, they did a really good thing, I think. Even though I didn't like it at first. They improved Eclipse, and they made it a 2-node talent.
Okay.
Which now that I looked at it a lot, this makes a lot of sense. Because now I'm assuming you will want improved Eclipse on single target, or like single target-ish bosses. And then you will want to ignore the Moonfire node.
You ignore this Moonfire one? Really?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So what you would do is go Nature's Balance, take Starfall CA, and then put 1 point in 3. And then you can go further into
So what's the EV on this talent then? So like,
so that talent is gonna be so put 1 point in of Nature, and then you can in Force of Nature. Yeah, and then you can see you can go down to tier 2. Now unspec improved Eclipse. Now go improved Moonfire. And then this, and Warrior of Alone. And CA. Yeah. And now you can go down to tier 2. Like this is gonna be the AoE part. Right?
Okay,
trees
but
are
what
only
if you
single target.
what if you want trees, right?
Why do you want trees?
Because I'm doing a dungeon.
Well, then you can just go improve the Eclipse.
Okay. Oh, okay. I see.
I'm assuming for like 4 target Pantheon kind of
Yeah,
bosses.
raid AoE. Okay, this kind of makes sense. It's one of those things that like. So if the fight is how long, when does the improved Moonfire overtake improved Eclipse on?
I'm assuming just overtakes. Also, depending on build, I'm assuming. So if you're going left side, I'm pretty sure you want improved Eclipse, just because of the nodes that appear there.
Yeah, sure. Because there's some
If
like
you
a
go right
value.
side,
If you have to dot all the time, there's no way that you're just gonna take this.
Yeah, for example, that synergizes a lot with Circle, right at the bottom of the tree.
Circle, yeah, thank God.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, man. Hey, we hustling out here. You have to like take it to not dot every single second.
Yeah, sure. Okay,
yeah,
so
this is kind of flexible. This went from you are only allowed to take a left side and never allowed to talent Warrior of Balloon into now you're able to talent almost. Well, I say almost everything, but there isn't like a lot of stuff.
Okay, so let's just say for single target purposes. Where are we going from here?
For single target, well, there is always 2 options, but the first thing for single target you want to take is Solar Beam into Cauldron.
Solar Beam into Cauldron, really?
I feel like on single target you will always want to take that.
Does this thing do infinite dam?
I'm assuming it's gonna do infinite dam, yeah.
This thing may as well be a 3-point node.
How so?
Because you have to go through beam to get here.
Well, yeah, but it's a dog, woof woof, big damage.
Okay, just a woof woof. Okay.
Yeah, man. What's
okay. And so it's probably okay. So basically, we have this.
So it's either left or right.
We need improved surge.
Yeah, you need improved surge, and you need shooting stars just to go down the.
Yeah. Improved surge and shooting stars. You're talenting those every single time.
Yeah. So now we just have a choice between left or right.
Yeah.
Which do you want to go first?
I think that for me, it seems like the left is better, but I don't like going through. Like empowered. There is a world, I guess, where I could go through Stellar Inspiration. I like this. I think that this Time Worn Dreambinder Oneth's Clear Vision node with this Moon node is going to be strong, but I'm not 100% sure. Like, what I've been playing a lot is Orbit Breaker with Convoke.
Yeah, so like both sides have their own problems. I mean, left side is just that the tier 2 nodes are just complete ass of left side for single targets. And then on right side, you have the problem where you can not get any like really strong single target talents. Right? Everything is also scaling into AoE, which means that it has to be a bit weaker for single targets. At least in my head.
Yeah, that's I kind of agree with that. So like this.
So you take
you kind of what I've been playing on live.
I am assuming Syzygy is gonna be AoE. So yeah, you take Flare, you take Circle probably. Like blast all targets and applies dots. I'm assuming that's AoE.
This no way. By the way, Syzygy improved Incarn. There are a couple things that aren't implemented on the PTR. This blessings, the blessings aren't working properly, so it's not 100%. It's not 100% clear how they're gonna work, but I think we have like a decent idea. So now I have 2 points left here, and so then you can tech around to stuff that you want.
I'm assuming it's just gonna be Circle, just because you got Fury of the Skies, and then you have Stellar Flare, and then that synergizes with it.
Okay, yeah. I mean, you also have there is a world where you put points into this, depending since you have Convoke.
You can just put 1 point in there, and then we'll put 1 point in Circle.
Okay, I think that this seems pretty reasonable for like a talent build. There's also a world where it's like this. Oh, actually, no. Yeah, I don't have 3 free points.
Well, you can also take
Oh,
out of
still
Stellar
inspiration.
Inspiration,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. You can get Stellar there for movement if that stays a movement talent. I'm assuming it's gonna stay a pure movement talent. Like in my opinion, what they should make with Stellar Drift is put it on the left of improved Starfall.
Okay.
And obviously make improved Starfall count as something for AoE as
That's the
well.
wrong thing. So like you would 1 second.
Yeah. Epic Pen strong application.
Yeah, yeah. So you would bring it off like here and put Stellar
From
Drift.
the bottom one, I think.
From off of this one. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a weird spot. Either below the normal Starfall or there left of that.
So what do other specs do with their nodes like this? So I've seen like, okay, I mean you even see it in the class tree, right? Like our
Yeah.
utility is branched off. Are other classes doing that in their spec tree as well, just branching off their utility like this?
Well, if you go Survival Hunter, then they have a 3-point node that increases the range by 3 yards. So
I don't. Well, I don't know if Petals is gonna be making an appearance again.
yeah, in like the middle of their tree. Yeah, so
It's in the
like
middle of their tree. Hold on, I'm pulling it up.
yeah, it's
1
like
second.
slam bang in the middle right of their tree or something.
Oh, shoot. And it's
Yeah, that one. The left one, I think. Left middle.
left
A bit more
middle.
up. Yeah, the one below the like fang things.
There's guerrilla
Right,
tactics.
right one, right one.
Where?
Up, 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 up.
Up. No
Right,
tactics. Right.
down.
Down. Oh, what the? Oh, it is a 3-point node. What? Okay, wait. Why is it here? Why isn't it off to the side?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like or like Shadow Priest. Shadow Priest is the most disgusting thing I've seen.
Oh yeah, they have like 10 nodes that are just damaged, like
Yeah, look at
non-damage
the
nodes, right?
yeah. Everyone has been quoting the increased damage on dots while shielded, the like bottom left one, the one up. Yeah, that thing is disgusting.
Wait, why is this a okay? We definitely don't have it as bad as these people, but like,
Yeah,
why
yeah.
is this a talent? Anyways, I think that we're getting way out in the weeds. I think that this seems like a pretty reasonable single target talent. Obviously, it's subject to tuning, but basically, what you're doing here is you're able to generate a lot of astral power. You're kind of playing. It's Night Fae Moonkin is basically what you're playing on live right now. You have Pulsar. Yeah, you have a decent amount of astral power gened from Orbit Breaker, from Convoke, from Shooting Stars, from Solstice. Like you're generating a decent number of astral power. You have some utility like movement, global stuff with the Starfall Stellar Drift, assuming that this is going to stay like that. I think that this makes sense for a single target talent. There's still a lot of problems though, and I would say with our capstone traits, the fact that you're not willing to talent into. Okay, so we have 5 capstone traits, and I haven't made a build where I'm talenting into more than one yet. I actually made one where it was Onets plus Fury Balloon, and I didn't think it was that bad, but that was the only one. It's kind of weird. I think our capstones are, I don't want to say weak, but they're very strange, and you're not super incentivized to talent into them. And I think that is a major problem with the tree. I do think on like pure single target though, this is probably a fine tree. Now let's talk about the issues with the tree.
I feel like they're more situational, right? Because at least with Convoke, you can talent into both. Like both is very strong with Convoke,
okay.
But at the same time, Pulsar is also strong with Convoke.
Yeah.
So if you can get to both of those, like to Convoke and then both and then Pulsar, that is gonna be probably one of the builds that we're gonna go for.
Yeah, okay. This makes sense.
Now, depends on the power level of improved Convoke, power level of both, how Pulsar is gonna line up and all that stuff.
Okay. So instead of a prototype Pantheon tree, let's do a Mythic Plus tree. So trees, mandatory.
Yeah, trees mandatory. I'm assuming you're gonna go Starfall because Starfall is strong.
Yeah. Dot duration I think is also mandatory.
Yeah.
Okay, so then at that point.
And then CA. Yeah, like Warrior Balloon, you need CA.
Warrior Balloon CA and no Nature's Balance.
Maybe you can take one node into Nature's Balance.
Just so you could get the 50 astral power.
Yeah, you can get the 50 astral power. So
maybe no warrior balloon. Oh, you have to have 2 for that. Ooh.
Yeah, you can either go 1 in warrior balloon or 2 in nature's balance.
So the point, like this is actually interesting. The top of our tree is quite strong for Mythic Plus. It's very cool. So from here, I think we need to go left, right?
Yeah, if they well, you're always gonna go into improved Starfall.
We have to have that. Yeah, it's not a question.
Now it's a 50-50 now. Are they gonna fix astral power? If yes, then you can go left side. If no, then I think you kind of have to go right side.
Okay.
I feel like you always need the middle part, like Incarnation. And I feel like Suzuki is gonna be strong for AoE.
Solar Beam also mandatory.
Yeah, Solar Beam mandatory.
Okay, so then it's a question of is our AoE going to be fixed? Do we want like a massive astral power build? What's going to happen with the Stellar Drift node? And so this is the part where we're kind of like gridlocked, where we really need this Stellar Drift node to be moved off to the side, or and our AoE to be fixed. I think both needs to happen. And then at that point, then we're really able to get into these bottom left stuff, like the bottom left / middle stuff, because that's the biggest issue, at least that I see, is it's really hard to talent Dreambiter / Onets. It's really hard to talent Fury Balloon / New Moon and Umbral Infusion, just because like going through the Stellar Drift node, it's only situationally strong, and I'm assuming that it's like it's good, right? But it's not the greatest thing for Mythic Plus, and I suspect that you're gonna start running into some issues again.
So there's also the like the choice of, are you playing low keys or are you playing high keys? Right?
All right, let's just say high keys.
So for high keys, you will want more like improved dots and extended Starfall on dots.
Yeah,
if you're playing low keys, you're probably not gonna need that. So yeah. For high keys, you're just gonna stay this, I'm assuming, and then you will need Soul of the Forest, and you will most likely also need Twin Moons.
I agree.
In most situations, so you want to just pat down those if possible. Now, here is the problem where you have too many nodes spent in tier 2.
Yes.
Which is interesting, because now you can take off Stellar Drift.
It used to be horrendous whenever these were 3-point nodes, because we were still running into this issue where, you need Soul of the Forest, you need Twin Moons, and these are 3-point nodes that I have to get through. So the fact that they got changed to 2-point nodes, very good, very good.
Yeah, that is very good.
Quite happy. I would say that precise alignment for a 1-point value is pretty solid here.
Now the problem here is that Incarn is just a better version of precise alignment. Like it's almost 3 to 4 times as strong as that.
Okay. Oh, interesting. That's interesting.
And that is a tier 2 for a tier 2 talent. Precise alignment is pretty strong, yes, but for a tier 3 talent, because now we're in tier 3 territory, I think that is undervalued a bit.
And then from here, you could even go double Umbral Infusion and Fury Balloon, or you could go Blessing Onus, or you could even just take off Stellar Drift.
You can take again, you can go both left and right side. Like, I love this about the tree. You can go either side and it does not feel grief.
Yeah, sure.
In my opinion. So you can either go right side, you can spec off Stellar Drift for that, or if you want to go left side, you can go Blessings, you can go Dreambinder, you can go Onet, you can go 4-piece, you can go Fury Balloon, you can go like whatever you want.
1 point of this. So if you're picking between 1 point of precise alignment or 1 point of Umbral Infusion, which one are you picking from this position?
That is a good question. If you have Onet,
probably Umbral because you have Onets?
Yeah. I'm assuming that is the play.
I think that this seems pretty good for Mythic Plus, but this is the issue that I was talking about whenever we were just talking about our tree. You're not incentivized to really take any of these capstone traits, and you're like, that it's kind of weird to not want to just like slam straight through like either 2 or 3 capstone points, because of like I don't want to say our tier 2 stuff is like too good, but it's like our tier 2 stuff is okay, and our tier 3 stuff is also about the same power level. And it's not
Well,
that our
I
tier
wouldn't
2 stuff needs to be nerfed. It's that the noding and like the pathing of the tree is very clunky.
I would say that that is not really that big of a problem. Like
Uh-huh.
they can just tone up the capstone nodes a bit. Or like we don't even know what like one and a half of them are. Like we don't know what improved convoke, improved incarn is. We don't know what Sizig is. We don't know what Pulsar is gonna be like. We don't know how good Orbit Breaker is. We don't know how good Swarm is because nobody played it. We don't know how good or bad. I'm assuming Fury of Valoon as a capstone trait is gonna be bad unless they change it. I hope they will change it.
It could get
I hope.
buffed.
Okay, I would hope that the DRs on Fury of Valoon and Shooting Stars get changed
Oh, hard
into
agree.
something that is not that. Like, this is not that good of a system, I would say. I think the DR needs to be toned down a bit.
I
I don't
agree
know
with you.
how. I'm not a designer, but yeah.
I'm down for them to just like bring it back to Legion shooting stars.
I feel like that's a bit too strong with, or like
Well,
Full Moon. I think Full Moon actually should get changed. Shooting Stars you can leave like that if you change Full Moon.
you know what's
Like
funny?
on
They
big
buffed
shit.
shooting stars. It's 3 astral power now.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
They also nerfed Solstice though. I'm assuming it's because of that.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. So I'm
With 2% more often. Wait a minute.
but I think that the big thing is like it could even be 2 astral power for shooting stars if it was procking a lot more often on AoE. For single target, it's totally fine. Nobody complains about it on single target. It's only an issue on AoE, and in addition to that, like what we're looking for is to like Fury Balloon to seriously do AoE damage and shooting stars to generate a decent amount of astral power in AoE. So then you're able to spend a lot of that astral power through Starfall. And I think that that's like the main design goal. It should be the main design goal, at least for Moonkin here.
Yeah, because you said Fury of Valoon, also New Moon, I think should get 15 seconds, or you should bring back Radiant Moonlight from Legion. Like, I do not
Oh.
think New Moon on that power level is good enough
Oh,
as a
I
capstone
don't
trait.
know the numbers. I haven't ran the numbers yet, but I would agree that I don't think that this node in particular is quite weak.
Yeah, I've not really looked at the numbers either, but I'm just assuming a tier 50, whatever
Yeah,
that thing was, can compete with legendaries.
I
Like,
I don't know how the hell it's supposed to compete with Orbit Breaker. Like that's just
yeah, like you have to bring in either Radiant Moonlight or maybe 15 seconds. On 15 seconds, I think it's good. I would be down for 15 seconds New Moon.
yeah.
I would be down for Fury of Valoon to get like some main target full damage and then half to everything else kind of deal scaling. I'll be down to that for that.
Yeah.
Maybe also change Umbral Intensity and Stellar Inspiration. Or like you could even move Fury of Valoon instead of Stellar Inspiration, and then move both instead of Umbral Intensity or something. You
Okay,
could
so
do that.
somebody asked thoughts on something like this from Mythic Plus. I think that this makes sense. I mean, so Soul of the Forest is here. We have Stellar Drift. We have Incarn, Orbit Breaker. I think that
Yeah.
that Syzygy is maybe a miss here. I think that you'd probably want Pulsar, especially with how much astral.
No.
This, I mean, you're generating a lot of astral power with this build. You have Drift talented though, so maybe Syzygy is good.
I think Siege is good though. I
It
think
depends on how
also,
strong it is, right? Like this is tuning dependent
yeah,
on this
yeah,
ability.
that's you also get, okay, what I had was this for M plus, but I had improved Incarn to like, well, I'm assuming it's improved Incarn is just not gonna be that. I'm assuming
Over
it's gonna
what
be
two
some
point
sort of,
circle? Oh wait, we have twin moons.
yeah, but I'm assuming the guy wants to get it fixed with Syzygy
Okay,
because that's what's gonna dot your pack.
that'll dot
But you
your
need
pack for you.
a
Okay.
CDR node for Incarn. Also, IFE, please bring back some sort of actual CDR, not the
Okay,
I will
so
cancel Incarn now and then.
so we say that this is like a real CDR node, and you're playing through
Yeah.
Syzygy a lot. Okay, and I see. I think
Yeah,
I
that
think I
is
could be down
banger
for
build.
this.
I would love that.
This seems like this is the build that I would not mind playing. And then if our like AOE is fixed in some meaningful fashion, you're generating a lot of astral power too. I think that this build seems cool to me.
Yeah.
I like this.
Also, like something along the lines of, okay, so what is really good about this string? I really love this string because you get the choice between Convoke and Incarn, which is an obvious full single target and an obvious Incarn talent, which is like single target AoE. Then you have Dreambinder and Onets. Dreambinder and Onet are really good legendaries. I really love to play with them. The tier piece was really good, especially with Dreambinder Onet. Well, I will just let you finish that.
I mean, you keep talking. I'm just writing down things.
Oh yeah, okay.
I'm just writing down like basically a summary of what probably needs to change with this.
Then the choice between Swarm and Boat makes complete sense because you either want to go with the dot part, which is Swarm, or you're just gonna want to go sprint down to Boat for Convoke. Then the whole right side makes sense with like the Orbit Breaker, Shooting Stars stuff. I feel like that's supposed to be for AoE, but with how DR works in this game, that's gonna be kind of weak. That should get a bit fixed. The fact that Circle, well, you could swap places somehow with, or like Circle should swap places maybe with Syzygy Pulsar talent.
Circle should. Okay, so you think?
Yeah, because Circle makes you proc more shooting stars. That's what Circle is for, basically. And then Boat works really well with Syzygy because you proc Incarn. Okay. I'm assuming that's gonna be Astral Power talent, and then you get double dip crits, and then you have Syzygy go boom boom do stuff.
Yeah, sure. But at the same point, like you don't necessarily want Circle of Life and Death with Orbit Breaker, right? Because I mean, this is
why not?
Because you're gonna have to press your dot button infinitely more. I guess maybe this.
Yeah, but it's gonna proc more.
I guess it's probably true.
You get like way more value out of it.
Okay, you know what? I think that makes sense. Swapping Syzygy and Circle. How do you feel? How do you feel about Flare Adaptive Swarm? I know I'm a hater, but
I'm the only guy who says it's fine, but other people say it's not fine. So I'm assuming overall it should get changed. You can make, from what I've heard, you can make Stellar Flare instant cast and it would be fine.
Okay.
Swarm. Okay, it would make sense also if they made Swarm and Stellar Flare on the same node, and then make Swarm into the AoE one, the one that spreads, the like legendary, and then you have the choice between the choice between Stellar Flare being your single target dot choice.
Well, then where are you putting Twin Moons?
Twin Moons can just stay there, and then make it swap with Boat or something. I don't know.
Then Boat is gone.
Or you can make Boat into Capstone for Syzygy.
Put into Capstone
and then
for
have.
Syzygy. Yeah. I think that that's starting to get down really down in the weeds. I don't think it's like that bad.
No, but it's like options that they have, right? So all these options show you that it's very easy.
So basically, what is being said is something probably should happen with like these nodes and like this node in particular, just like movement. Like they should be changed just like positionally where they are, because like this is fine most of the time, but the issue is like where Flare in particular is pathing into. So most people, except for Chicken, do not like Stellar Flare's playstyle. Just like the cast time on the dot itself is like not not a playstyle that I find fun, is what I will say. And then you're starting to path into like a pure dot build where it's like Stellar Flare, Circle of Life and Death into Adaptive Swarm, and that is a build that seems very unfun in a lot of different ways, at least for me. You're basically playing like a scuffed Affliction Lock at that point. And
Yeah, which
so what was recommended was what he was saying is basically put Flare and Adaptive Swarm on the same node. At that point, Flare would have to be way better if it's going to be on a capstone. But Flare, we'll just say for these purposes, Flare dot cleave issues. So like Flare X Adaptive Swarm make it AS legendary. So like the Adaptive Swarm legendary puts it on 2 targets, and then
3.
whenever a target dies, it like spreads or some shit.
Or like it puts it on 1 target and then it spreads into 2.
Or we could even use the Torghast power.
Yeah, just make it like spread into a lot of targets on like your whole pack.
Yeah,
Be, like,
they could make it the Adaptive Swarm Torghast power, and it's probably fine. And then put Twin Moons goes with what?
You can make it go with both.
With Boat or with Syzygy?
I don't know. Well,
I think Boat could go with Pulsar.
I like where Syzygy has to be with Pulsar, I think.
Oh, okay. So
otherwise it's just like way too broken. There's no shot you.
Okay, so Twin Moons could go with Boat. So then at that point you could play.
Or you can just make another split. Both is alone.
Oh, this seems way better because then you can play like a good Adaptive Swarm and Twin Moons, or you can play Flare and Boat.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm down with this. And then how do you feel about Circle of Life and Death? You think that Circle of Life and Death and the Syzygy nodes should be swapped?
I feel like you. Do I know? I mean, it doesn't really make a. So Circle is in a weird spot, right? Because if you were to have the Flare Boat builds, Circle wouldn't really do a lot for you, right? But at the same time, I do not know how I want it to be changed.
Yeah. Maybe it could get swapped with the Syzygy node.
Maybe put Circle instead of like Umbral or something. Stellar Inspiration. Or you could put. You could do a little shuffle. Put Circle below Shooting Stars. Put Star-Lord instead of Umbral. And
I'm okay with this. Like these two swap. This makes sense.
Yeah, you could do that as well.
This is generally seen as like a stronger node than Circle of Life and Death's node.
Star-Lord is complete banger with both.
Like, I think that swapping these two would make a lot of sense. I'm pretty okay if they do swap that. Somebody asked, do you ever take a Fury of Elune ever? Like it's. I think that there's a build where you can take it.
In its power level right now, no. If it gets buffed, yes.
That makes sense.
With its power level right now, I don't think I ever take it now.
Because I mean, there is a world where you take. How many points do I have left?
That is such a fried build. There is no shot to take that.
I mean, this isn't bad.
That is single target now. But if it's single target, you just want New Moon straight up now.
You think that this is, I don't necessarily believe that this is single target. This seems like this could be a Mythic Plus build where it's like really hybrid. Oh. This is like a really hybrid.
Yeah, it's like a hybrid.
You actually get like decent AoE, and ONS is like okay on both AoE and single target. I don't know where I'm spending the rest of these points.
Well, there are way stronger nodes in tier 3 than Fury of Elune, right? Fury of Elune could even listen. Fried take. Fury of Elune could be instead of Solar Beam, and Solar Beam is shoot off to the side.
This is the build that maximizes our capstone traits, right? This is
how you get the most capstones, but like in general, and I mean it's a nice hybrid build is what I will say about this. So it could be useful for Mythic Plus, but our capstones are just not that strong, and so that's the reason that we were on some other builds.
Yeah, well they could just buff them, right? Yeah. just lol buff them. But
Yeah.
with
Okay.
you buffing them doesn't really make sense. You have to like change the way they're played a bit. You have to like give them some oomph in other ways, not really aura buffs.
Would you say overall this is about where? So it's like the issues with the balance tree is like our AoE and Starfall needs to be stackable. That's like the first thing that needs to change. The Stellar
Yep.
Drift location probably should be like off to the side somehow.
You can say for Solar Beam that it could be swapped with Fury Balloon, for example. You could get like a bit of oomph in AP ways. And it's
Solar Beam
synergizes with
swap with
Gold Drain.
Fury with what?
Yeah, or like not swapped. You could put you could put Solar Beam instead of Solar Beam below Gold Drain.
Oh yeah.
And then Fury Balloon you could slam above Gold Drain.
Okay. I think I do think that there's a lot of options here. I just think that Solar Beam spot where it is in the node, and then Gold Ring being locked behind 2 Solar Beam nodes is like so weird. So because like Light of the Sun is past Gold Ring. There's no way you can
I don't think you will
can't
ever take
path
Light
into
of the
this
Sun.
thing. Yeah.
You will never take that.
You can't path
Like-
into this based on where it is. I want it. I'm never going through a 2-point Goldrin to get this thing because the point. Okay, so Goldrin, first off, single target. And so it is nice, and like the 15 seconds off on Solar Beam is something that you want for Mythic Plus, realistically. And it's like, okay, at that point, I'm not taking 2-point Goldrin to get to this.
Okay, so I think the reason they put in Light of the Sun is that people asked for a shorter beam, right?
I like this. I mean, I like the
But-
node.
The node is good, but I don't think you will ever spend damage nodes to get it. I think it should be either just baked into Solar Beam or removed because it has no point in being there.
Yeah.
I think it just should be baselining into Solar Beam because
Oh, okay.
you use it as well 75% of the time. You're not gonna use it every time. You're most likely gonna coat the pack if you want to use Solar Beam.
Sure.
Like in like the lower Karazhan, like the one after the like Dancy Boys, the one on the packs on the left that you have to gather up in Belf or Beam. After like the first one, it doesn't matter. But it's like the like little dudes that you have to gather up.
I do think that like something has to move here. One of these 3 nodes has to move or be changed or something like that. It's like it's a really weird spot, and it's not as simple as just putting Goldrin above this. That would also be cringe. I think that they put Solar Beam here because they want you to be able to take it, which is nice. Like I'm glad that it is like in the middle. I don't say in the middle of the tree, but it's gating behind it like weird stuff. And so I think that this has to be moved, changed, something like that. Something in this block just in general has to be a little bit different.
Yeah, if you make Solar Beam tier 1, that's way better as well. To put it like below Eclipse or something.
Yeah, I mean, what if you put it here?
Yeah, I think they want that there, but put it below Eclipse, like the first.
Oh,
trait.
yeah.
You could put it there, and you would take it situationally.
I mean, I would be down for Starfall to be here as well. Dude, I don't know how you play the spec without Starfall. Like
I think the problem is now you are forced to take Starfall basically. I think they want you to be forced to take both CA and Starfall.
I have a question. What if you swap Starfall and CA, or swap Starfall and CA to here? Like, I don't think that this seems fine, right? Like swapping these two to here.
You could full skip one of them. That is the problem, I think. And if you full skip CA, I think that will break a lot of things.
I don't think you should ever full skip I don't think you should ever full skip these nodes, and I guess that putting them at these junctions makes basically makes you take them both.
Well, imagine they are there, right? Then you could full skip CA and then path down to income. You get free CA. Or like what happens there? You just can't take income. Well, that doesn't make sense.
Correct. Somebody pathed to that earlier, where they skipped CA and they pathed the incarnate and it didn't work.
Yeah, like
which I mean, at that point, like, don't do that. Like, I'm okay with it not working. Don't do that. Don't path like that.
I think they want to get rid of that at all costs, but
anyways, So New Moon and Fury Balloon node seems pretty weak. I think that seemed like if they completely untarget capped Fury Balloon and made the New Moon node better, that's probably fine. That's just like a power issue relative to the other capstone traits. And then Syzygy node and Circle potentially swapped, and that goes in the dot cleave issues that we talked about for a while. Okay.
I think that's good enough.
I think that's pretty good. I think that overall class tree banger. Balance tree, it's not like things need to be changed. It's more of like noting position is the one that's certainly the thing that's up in the air.
It could become good very fast.
I would agree. Yeah, I think it's close. And then
close to being good. Yeah.
I mean, the Starfall and AoE stuff is only about the base kit, and like I think that the spec is very, very close to being an incredibly fun spec for me.
I think we have cried enough about Starfall that it is in a state of being ready to be shipped, but they are not pulling the trigger on it yet.
Yeah.
So I think it's like basically fixed.
Yep. Cool. I mean, if we've complained enough about it to where they're down to fix it, I'm in. Because the spec, I like this spec. I like this iteration of the spec. I don't mind eclipses though. I understand that some people don't like the eclipse system. But yeah.
I love the spec. Bring Ventir back.
Bring Ventir back. I like playing Ventir. All right. I think that's good for the YouTube video.